For the third consecutive year, the Pirelli World Challenge Championships returns to Barber Motorsports Park, Alabama's high-speed motorsports roller coaster, and it all starts now. It's an absolutely beautiful day here at Barber Motorsports Park. Welcome, everyone, to the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at Barber Motorsports Park, presented by Porsche. Hi, everybody. Great to be with you. I'm Greg Creamer, joined as always by Calvin Fish. And Cal, after those two street circuit races, now the rest of the season is on these natural terrain road courses. So is this really where the championship battle starts to get fought in earnest?
I think it really does, Greg. Right now it puts a premium on balance, downforce in your race car. You look back a year ago here at Barber, well, the McLaren, the Nissan, they scored victories on the road. And I think the Bentley boys this weekend could indeed make a statement also.
Every one of those high downforce cars, they love this track. Now, as you can hear in the background, the previous session just about to wrap up. That gives us a little extra time. We're going to make use of it by showing you our Kia Rewind, and that is a look back at last week's round 5 at Long Beach. And Cal, man, was there a lot to talk about.
Well, after a brilliant performance in qualifying, it was the Portuguese driver Álvaro Prent who led the field to green in his McLaren, but he immediately felt the heat on the outside of the front row from Johnny O'Connell, the 4-time champ, taking it deep down into turn 1, but Brent just hangs on. O'Connell running wide, and Pat Long is through to second.
Later on in the lap, James Safronis, a former winner at Long Beach, just kisses the inside of the wall at turn 8, gets into Austin Cindric. He ends up in the wall. Tough start to the season for Cindric. Also had big crash damage from St. Pete.
On the restart, Brent is now feeling the pressure from Pat Long behind, but look at the momentum that Johnny O'Connell has down the inside, dancing on the brake pedal. He is now up to the second position once again.
And he wasn't done. There was another caution on the ensuing restart, timed it to perfection this time before they got to the braking zone in turn 1, into the lead.
Colin Thompson, after a brilliant performance this weekend, cut tire takes him out of the action.
And later on in the race, GTA driver Frankie Montecalvo got into the back of Peter Cunningham, 7-time world champion, and spun him. Later on, Cal, huge impact into the wall.
Yes, it's a long ride back to pit lane from that corner, and he spread fluid all the way around this racetrack. But meanwhile, up front, Brent kept the pressure on Johnny O'Connell, but at the flag, O'Connell takes the second win of his championship year.
He was a happy guy, as was Martin Fuentes, completing a 5th consecutive win from his 5th consecutive pole in the GTA category. However, things were not quite done. A lot more evolved after the checkered flag. For more on that, let's meet the third member of our broadcast team, Jeff Lepper.
Well, coming out of Long Beach in post-tech, Johnny O'Connell's Cadillac ATS-V shown to have a little bit too much boost, so he was penalized 10 seconds. That moves Álvaro Prent up to the lead. You would think that Patrick Long would get second place now, but unfortunately a rear wing mount on that Porsche 911 GT3R was the wrong specification. He got penalized 10 seconds as well. So your top 3 changed a little bit out of Long Beach. It was Prent, O'Connell, and Long.
Thanks very much, Jeff. Awful lot to sort through after that race, Cal. Now it's time for our Porsche race analysis. 2.3-mile track, 27 cars. It's busy here. This track's tight. It's not easy to pass on.
It really isn't. 15 turns, but there's a lot of elevation change. Tricky racetrack, fun to drive. But for a closer look, let's ride along with Pat Long with our Porsche track preview.
Hi, this is Patrick Long, driver of the 31 Effort Racing GT3R, and this is your Porsche track preview. And this is Barber Motorsports Park. Turn 1, floated in on 4th gear, coast through the apex, pick up a little bit of throttle, braking hard down to 2nd gear for turn 2 and 3. Be patient on the throttle, be tight to the right, and then you're going to let it run all the way out to the left-hand apex curve. This is flat out, completely blind. 4th gear, get it back over to the right-hander. Late hard braking, this is a very good passing zone. Turn 5, it's a triple apex. You sort of pick up the 2nd apex and then unwind the wheel all the way out onto the exit curb. Up through the gears, hustling the car back over to the left for turns 8 and 9, Museum Corner. Very picturesque, very technical. Curb on the right, center curb, down 1 gear, 2nd gear, roll on the throttle, be patient, watch the traction, all the way out. Now hustle back over to the right-hander for the quickest set of corners here. Turns 10 and 11, fourth gear, almost flat, a little breathe, and then back on the throttle all the way out on the exit. Down to turns 12 and 13, completely blind on turn-in. Fourth gear, down to third, stay tight, another blind corner, all the way up over that rise, keep the speed rolling through 14, make a straight line section, you're almost there, turns 14, 15, and 16, lots of give and take, make sure you hit your apex, roll on the throttle, fourth gear, and that's your one lap here at Barber Motorsports Park, one of the most picturesque racetracks in North America.
It's a great roller coaster ride here, Cal, but there's one downhill corner that's amazing.
Well, it's a beautiful flowing racetrack, but it really puts a premium on finding a good overtaking spot. And that's our focus this weekend in our stop-take braking zone. It's turn 5. You crest that hill after turn 4, you're on good momentum on your competitor. Try and get it down to the inside line. And then remember, you're going downhill. Very easy to carry too much speed. As you turn the wheel to the left, you can lock up that left front, run wide. And the competitor can do the undercut on the way out. Should provide great racing action here today.
Well, that's a great corner to just watch at. Lots of fun. Enjoy it, folks. Cal, let's take a look at our Pirelli storylines. I think it has to start with short week, crashes at Long Beach.
Wow, it's a crazy week over there in Long Beach, and a lot of the teams have really had to burn that midnight oil this week to even be here at the racetrack. Take John Fogarty, for example, the Red Dragon. Major damage in the practice. They didn't see the green flag in Long Beach. They had to fly parts in from the UK from McLaren. They're here. Frankie Montecalvo had that huge crash in the race. Big damage to the rear end of that Mercedes. And also Austin Cindric, another McLaren with big damage. A lot of work. They're here, but it's really hurt their chances this weekend, I feel, a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if you're struggling on the weekend, you're struggling in the championship. We talked about that. One guy who doesn't seem to be having any problems with that, Johnny O.
Well, he's gone for 5 straight championships, and you think about it, he's really taken advantage of Pat Long having a couple of hiccups, certainly Alvaro Perrin. He's gone to the top of the charts with that second win, admittedly with a penalty and being pushed back to second at Long Beach, but still strong points. For Johnny O to be leading a championship this early, he doesn't typically do that, so I think he recognized the competition is really strong this year. He's got to get off to a fast start, and he's done everything right.
Exactly, and of course, you don't have a series that is this high caliber without some great partners. And I'm delighted to be able to say that our Jeff Lepper is about to introduce you to a brand new one.
Here with Aaron Fott of AFE Power. Now, Aaron, tell us a little bit about AFE Power.
AFE Power is a company that's been around for about 20 years, developing performance parts for enthusiasts for the car and truck market. So we build things like air filters, air intake systems, exhaust, and now even suspension.
Now, tell us what the Pirelli World Challenge, being this racing platform, what does that do for you as a company?
You know, Pirelli World Challenge and our involvement with that, it allows us to take our development to the next level. When you're developing product for the street market, people want their car to perform better. When you get out onto the racetrack, you need it to perform the best that it possibly can. And so being involved here, being able to prove our technology, being able to prove our performance on the racetrack is key to us.
I'm pretty excited about when I heard AFE was going to be associated with World Challenge. To me, it was a great thing because you know, AFE long ago, through Aaron Fott, designed all my Corvette aftermarket stuff, the Johnny O'Connell line. So I knew that they were top end, top quality. And now for them to be associated with the series, but also working with Cadillac, I think it's pretty exciting.
Again, just great news. More and more partners coming in to the Pirelli World Challenge Championship. Qualifying was fascinating in every class. For that, let's get back down and get an update from Jeff Lepper.
Well, a few updates. Frankie Montecalvo's Mercedes-Benz from Dime Racing arrived at the track yesterday at 7 a.m. getting his damage fixed. John Fogarty, they took that McLaren from Gainesco Racing back to Texas, got that car repaired. It showed up Friday evening for that team. And as well as looking at our GT Cup, Corey Fergus, a brand new tub in that car. They got all the components transferred over from his huge shunt he had at St. Pete. Some little unknowns going into this race. A lot of these guys had not had any track time on these cars yet.
With that, now let's take a look at our Motul Pole Award winners. And I'll tell you, some sterling laps, including a track record on the pole in GT. And the Motul Pole Award goes to Michael Cooper in the number 8 Cadillac Racing ATSVR. A 1-minute 22.748 second lap, new track record. Jeff.
Pretty awesome to put the Cadillac on pole for the first time in GT. You know, we made some setup changes yesterday, even though we were quickest. We weren't exactly thrilled with how the car was handling, and sometimes you just got to take those risks and dare greatly. And that's what we do here at Cadillac Racing, and that's why we're starting up front. So hopefully get some redemption for Long Beach, that's for sure.
And in GTA, Martin Fuentes continues this perfect season roll in the 07 Hublot Under Armour Scuderia Corsa Ferrari with a pole, a 1-minute 23.779, the Motul pole in GTA. In GT Cup, another track record. Moto pole going to Alec Udell in the number 17 Global Motorsports Group Euro World Porsche, a 1 minute 26.743 second lap.
Well, Alec Udell starting on pole today in GT Cup. Great run for you and a great lap.
Thank you. Got to give it to the guys at GMG. They put a great car together for me, and I love driving here. So it's just unlike anywhere else in motorsports.
And naturally, it's the drivers at the front of the field that'll be first into our VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone for the start and the restarts. Cal, tell us about it.
On starts and restarts, as the pace car exits the track, the field enters the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. The lead car will be responsible for maintaining a speed from 50 to 55 miles per hour, and at the starter's discretion, the green flag will come out and everyone will unleash their VP Racing fuel.
We should have some great battles in every class, and let's get it started. Time to get to the front of the grid. For that famous command, it is Sherman Engler, the lead instructor of the Porsche Sport Driving School.
Drivers, start your engines.
And the engines have come to life. We are ready to go racing here at Barber Motorsports Park. Very, very excited about this. 3 classes on track at the same time. GT and GTA, of course. Same type of cars, just different levels of drivers. And then GT Cup, the all Porsche category. There's the beautiful Cadillac ATS-V pace car. Don Harper behind the wheel. Don Harple, behind the wheel is going to lead this field around, and that's a big story there. On the pole is Michael Cooper. Alvaro Parent in the McLaren hasn't been off the front row all season, but when you look at the rest of that front end of this, you see a changing of the guard, Cal?
Well, possibly. Michael Cooper grabbing his very first GT pole has certainly shook Johnny O'Connell a little bit as well. There's 3 spots on the grid between the 2 Cadillac boys. When we think about championship favorites coming into this season, certainly Pat Long driving the number 31 Effort Racing Porsche. Well, he sits 6 on the grid. His young teammate who swept the doubleheader at St. Petersburg, Michael Lewis, sits in the 3rd spot. So certainly is keeping these boys on their toes. But the grid is so tight, Greg, and overtaking is at a premium here in terms of finding a spot to do it safely. So everyone was really focused on that qualifying session here this morning.
Top 15 covered by a second. I mean, that is just immense. One of the concerns, there's been lots of different series that have raced since that qualifying session. Different compounds of rubber down the track.
Well, one thing you hate to do in racing is guess, and you don't like to guess with your setup in terms of which direction the track is going. So we have the IndyCar series here this weekend, obviously, and also the Indy Lights. They run different types of rubber, and that can certainly affect how these Pirelli P0s will work today on this racetrack.
All right, folks, and there is a look at the Cadillac Escalade, the safety car provided by our great partner Cadillac. I want to say a big thanks to them. That's one of those things you love to have it, hope you never have to use it. And we're going to step away for a moment. When we come back, we'll show you some onboards and we'll go racing here at Barber Motorsports Park.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Pirelli. Power is nothing without control. And by the Cadillac V-Series, the first ever 455 horsepower 2016 ATS-V Coupe and Sedan, and the all-new 640 horsepower CTS-V Sedan. The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Motul, official lubricant of the Pirelli World Challenge. And by Porsche. There is no substitute.
Lights out on our pace car. We are about to go racing here at the Barber Motorsports Park Grand Prix presented by Porsche. Here's a look at our Kia Quad Box presented by Replay XD. Just a few of the looks of some of the great Replay XD cameras that will be providing some onboards here as we are getting ready to go. Once again, a change this year. If you're just joining us for the first time, both races in the GT division are rolling starts, primarily due to some of the launch configurations of these GP3 Cup cars. The standing starts, they're not built for that. And it's going to be interesting to see here. First 3-4 rows as they hit that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone onto the front straight. If it goes green,
yeah, look for some of these guys to get super aggressive, particularly we talk about the Bentleys and Nissans should have been strong here. They're on the 3rd and 4th row of the grids, their best cars, so look for that bright Acura and black car. J.D. Davison, he's always aggressive here on the opening laps.
All right, here we go. It's up to Michael Cooper to pace them as they come around onto the front straight. Field looks to be in good shape. Boy, nice alignment and war green, racing for 50 minutes, and there you see it, Heitkotter, a huge move. Bentley way down to the inside, Cal.
Yeah, I saw some blue bodywork flying there for a moment, but Alvaro Parent gets the perfect start. Johnny O'Connell slides up into the 3rd spot, side by Heitkotter into turn 3.
Boy, nice move by O'Connell and Heitkotter, as you said, but Parent, boy, he needed that. Get out there, clean air, and let that McLaren's aero and balance work. Big off by Kyle Marcelli.
He did a great job there, Greg. That could have got really wild there. You're loaded up over on that left side. He got pushed wide into the dirt. Meanwhile, down into turn 5.
And it looks to me like both of the Porsches absolutely got demoted big time here.
Yeah, certainly for Michael Lewis after a strong qualifying run. He didn't want to see this on the opening lap.
Andrew Palmer in that white number 87, the white-green Bentley. Pretty good launch there.
Look at Davison all the way up to 4th. Having qualified 8th on the grid.
Boy, you called it aggression in the early going. In GTA, Fuentes has Monte Calvo. Remember, Monte Calvo was last year's champion right on his 6th, so that battle's going to be fun to watch. Let's look at Adderley Fine. I talked to him, and he said, you know, this is the first time I've been to a track that's kind of been a problem for the 19. Oh, boy, Drew Riggett's having that car get away from him, Cal. If he's high-sided, that could be tough here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, hopefully he can get moving a little bit. Look at the different lines there through 14. You see the Nissan's taking a really wide entry there. Really great to that late apex to be able to straighten the wheel and unleash that power they have.
And Parent leads through. A little bit of a gap between the two Cadillacs right now, 2nd to 3rd, but considering where Johnny started, I think he'll be pleasantly surprised with that.
Well, he just wants a good clean start. He's leading the championship right now. He's just such a savvy driver. He always seems to position the car in the right place, not make mistakes. But he had a little bit of understeering qualifying, as did most of the field were commenting on that. Audrey Riggins, he may have some bodywork damage or a cut tire there.
Yeah, that was Walt Bolin, so maybe that explains what happened. The two Audis maybe getting together here. That's a tough one. John Fogerty trying to get aggressive down into our stop tech braking zone.
What a week for those guys. Huge amount of midnight oil has been burned, as we said, by some of the competitors just to even get here this weekend. And John Fogerty, they rolled up here a day late. They're still working on the car Thursday afternoon at their Texas base. Got here Friday morning, and suddenly he was up in the top 10.
And speaking of a great run here, it is Alec Udell now in that beautiful blue Global Motorsports Group Euro World Motorsports machine. And he qualified almost a second clear of the field, and it was Corey Fergus after that huge wreck at St. Pete to be able to be in a strong second. We're going to go back and show you the start here in GT Cup, Cal.
Here they come. Alec Udell has certainly been on form here this weekend. Sloan Uri there. We actually went to the back of the grid. He changed tires after qualifying, and there they steam down into turn 1. Udell from the pole. Fergus tucks in nicely in the 00 machine.
And they got that car. Remember, Alec had a little bit of damage from St. Pete. They got that car tweaked, and it's working now. I think a smart move by Sloan Uri. They said they just didn't have the balance with the tires were right, so they changed them all, went to the back, cost them a position. Boy, they can be strong late in the race.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone else has got laps on these tires from the qualifying run, and then as the run goes on, you would think that Sloan Uri, who's really been on a charge this year, could have really swept the tables other than a little mistake and a problem with traffic in the first round of the championship.
Here we go back to the front of the overall run. Parent continuing to lead from Cooper. That little bit of a gap back to Johnny. I talked to Johnny before the race, and he said, you know, with that tire rubber, he said, it's a bit of a guess. He said, so the early part of the race, it's just get a feel for what's happening. Don't make mistakes, stay in the hunt. And as the car starts to come back, or you can figure out how you need to drive it, then you can start to go racing. Playing that card right now?
Well, it's a question of feeling what the balance is right now, not over-driving a car in terms of if it's got a little bit of understeer. Don't keep leaning on it. Try and, you know, make that tire survive over a 50-minute sprint race here. So far, we're green. So if it goes green all the way, the guys who take care of these opening 10, 12 laps could have dividends at the end.
And there's a look at your pole sitter and leader in the GTA category, Martin Fuentes for Scuderia Corsa, the Hublot Under Armour Ferrari, and he is just having a stout season. I think a pretty impressive performance, though, for Frankie Montecalvo. Car got here after that huge wreck at Long Beach. He missed every bit of testing, practiced the whole thing, and qualifies at second.
And as we say that, we're in the 66 cars into pit lane.
Let's find out what's going on in pit lane. What's up, Jeff?
And what appears to be the problem?
Well, the car had major damage after Long Beach, and we did a rebuild, and we seem to be dropping fuel pumps now. The problem was we have a spare fuel pump in there for the endurance races, but someone had tie wrapped the breaker to it so that it didn't accidentally get engaged, so he couldn't use it. We had to come in and cut the tie wrap and engage the spare fuel pump to get the pressure back up. Hopefully it'll get us through the rest of the race.
He had that huge hit at Long Beach, and they've been really scratching to get that car ready for the green flag here today. So such a shame when a crew works so hard to have a problem in the early going.
You know, it's almost inevitable maybe that you'd find a problem somewhere, although it looks like they might be sending them out. That is a look at J.D. Davison, as you called it, with the aggression. He gets our Optima Batteries Best Start Award, 4 spots in that opening lap. He made up in that beautiful AER now, and that's, of course, one of the great, very quick Nissans.
Well, he won the opening round here last year, but unfortunately had a little bit of an overboost situation, so he got disqualified, and that really hurt him in the championship break. With those points, he would have been leading going in the final round of the year, so they learned from that. Spoke to Ian Willis this morning from A Motorsport, and he just said we just had to dial that boost back a little bit to have some safety margin, because as we saw last week at Long Beach, Johnny O'Connell had that problem and lost the win due to that overboost. But look at Cooper, he is coming on strong. That caddy looks really well balanced.
Yeah, it does, and talking to them before the race, like you said, they said the cars feel pretty good. Brent said he might make a little bit of a change to try and deal with that, but boy, as you said, Cooper not willing to sit tight for too long.
No, I mean, he didn't get the start he was looking for. Perrin did, but we understand Perrin made a little bit of a ride height adjustment, changed the rake in the car to try and dial some of the understeer out, and he wanted to get into a sweet spot. Maybe he can work with the roll bar settings in the car during the race to keep the balance with him. But such an impressive young guy. I spoke to Darren Law this morning, program manager with Flying Liz, and he said, this guy is so smooth. I mean, Kevin Escher used to wring the car's neck last year and get great results, certainly, but he said Perrin's kind of a different animal. He's really smooth behind the wheel.
Well, things have settled just a little bit here in the early going in our 6th round of the Pirelli World Challenge GT Championship. So we're going to take a quick moment here, step away. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Alec Udell for Global Motorsports Group, leading here at Barber, the site where he got a big win last year and is looking awfully impressive. But the guy who's leading in the championship, watch this, Cal.
Just gets in really late on the brakes there, and I think he just had to hit the brake pedal a little bit harder there, otherwise he's going to run into Corey Fergus, and that's enough to change the weight transfer of the car and turn it around. So he's kind of in rebound mode right now. This is a man who's been very much on his game this year, but he does have an injury he's dealing with this weekend, Greg.
Yeah, apparently in the week leading up here, he had a little accident on a longboard and just fell and sprained his wrist. And he said it's sore, and obviously that's going to not be your best friend in the car when you're trying to make some corrections and the like. Boy, Cooper is just hungry right now and coming after him.
Yeah, I think Alvaro Perrin will be spraining his neck muscles, looking to see which way Michael Cooper's going to make a move here. Just the gear ratios there are much better suited to the McLaren. It really seems to get a little bit of a gap there as you crest the hill in turn 4 on Michael Cooper that really takes away the appetite for Michael to make a move down into our stop tech brake zone, because he's not quite as close as he was in the preceding corner. Oh, big Thompson.
Yeah, that is substantial, whatever happened here. Yellow waving in the background, but that's right in the middle of the track. That's going to have to create.
Safety car will be out for this one.
No
Hasn't been
question.
a smooth weekend for the man who's so impressive at Long Beach. He's been struggling this weekend, missed Thursday's practice sessions due to flu symptoms. Just wasn't really on top of his game in qualifying this morning, but we don't know what happened here.
Yeah, I talked to him just right before the race started, and he said, I'm better, but I'm still not feeling great. But boy, that's a good clunk to the front of that car, but the rear wing knocked off too.
Yeah, he was in a battle there. He's sandwiched between Ryan Eversley and John Fogarty. He was in the 13th position when they crossed the stripe on the previous lap.
And so Thompson sitting there waiting for the Cadillac Escalade, and our Muck Daddy cleanup will be unfolding here. We're going to step away for just a moment, and we'll be right back to Barber Motorsports Park.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Nissan, innovation that excites. And by Honda Performance Development, Honda's North American racing company.
Welcome back, everybody, as we continue under caution here at Barber Motorsports Park for the Grand Prix presented by Porsche. And again, we're thinking maybe going to green this time by. We're certainly hopeful of it. The caution caused by the incident with the number 13 of Colin Thompson. And unfortunately, that did promote the yellow at this stage. You saw a shot there just going out of the screen, Walt Bolin. We saw that little bit of damage to the front of his car, and it did indeed apparently was what caused that incident with Drew Riggets. He did get a drive-through penalty, or will get one, so that was confirmed. Now, let's go back and take a look at what we can see here.
Through the corner, 2 orange cars. So one is Marcelli further back in the field, and that's Colin Thompson.
Ooh, Fuentes just about got him, didn't he?
It was a close call there for everyone coming up through that section of the racetrack. The left rear of that McLaren did get into the grasp.
Yeah. And Fuentes just had a, what's the old heart in the throat moment there for a second there, and was able to skate through. And of course the concern there is you come through a crash scene, what kind of debris maybe got into those Pirelli P0s.
Yeah, certainly that's a question mark for everyone. Hopefully he got through there cleanly. But Martin Fuentes, great job this year. He said he was injured last year. He wasn't able to train. He's back at 100% fitness level, and he just got a great group there at Scuderia Corsa. He's quite the character. I sat in the steward's office the other day, and they brought him in. He'd missed the driver's meeting, and he was, you know, telling tales and making stories, and he's got big smiles. And, you know, 20 minutes in, he's thinking, you know what, I think I got away with this one. And then right at the end, it's like, well, guess what? You're still going to get a penalty. You're going to serve 10 minutes of practice. And he looked, Peter Robbs just said, I don't care. It's in the rule book, mate. You're going to serve it.
They got to serve a penalty. Yeah, he said after they told him he was going to get parked, and initially they were going to do it, I think, in qualifying. And he said, I looked at the rule book and it said it could happen in qualifying and or practice. And he said, you know, I'm a lawyer. How about we go with or? And I didn't think he could do it, but this year he's even happier. That's pretty impressive. Here is our GT Cup story, basically. And Alec Udell had that huge margin. That's gone away. And Corey Ferguson, nice to see that car back and competitive. His best qualifying effort with that great second place after that humongous shunt at St. Pete. And then an on form this year. What a story I think it is for Preston Calvert.
Yeah, I mean, that Calvert Dynamics Porsche has really been on form. I mean, he's duking it out with some of these young guns in this field, which is really impressive. I mean, one of the true gentlemen of this series. And there you see the car always beautifully turned out by Joe Aquilani and his whole group.
And you know that Calvert's got some really good insight on this track from Andrew Davis, who knows it well.
Yeah, well, Preston has given Andrew the opportunity to run in the GT class, but Andrew still works with him, looking at data and training him around this race circuit.
And then we'll see what Sloan Urie can do. Got an opportunity here, as we said, to give that injured wrist a break and be able to come back here. We got it. Yep, green this time is what we're hearing. So everybody now will start to really get work on getting some those tires cleaned off and ready to go here.
Yeah, you see the weaving. That's really just trying to get at the marbles, the pickup that you would have got by running around, particularly offline when there's wreckers and safety equipment out there. You're running where all of the marbles get thrown during the course of the race. You want to clean those off. Then you're going to use the brake pedal, really just try and work the throttle against the brake, generate some brake temperature. That then goes through the whole upright into the wheel and then into the tire. That will generate the tire temp for you that you're looking for.
And when we go green, it'll be about half race distance still to go. But with this long caution now, any concerns about trying to conserve tires have been seriously minimized, and fuel consumption as well.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think tire deg is the big concern for everyone, obviously. And and again, it gives the crews a chance to talk to their drivers. Think about tweaking this a little bit, see if we can save the balance of the car for the end of this one, because it's still a long run here. If we stay green, it's going to be about a 25-minute run.
Lights out on the Cadillac ATS-V pace car, so we are going green, and that means they're going to be entering that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone now, and Cal, for restarts, a little bit different.
Yeah, basically, as soon as this pace car peels off, Alvaro Prent's responsibility is to bring them around at about 50 to 55 miles an hour. But then basically, he's supposed to wait until about the apex of the last corner, turn 15, but you can see there he's starting to sneak up the speed a little bit. I think once he turns this corner, he's going to start to get on it.
Yeah, watch for it right here, turn in.
But now he's probably going to unleash that VP fuel.
Yeah, and there he goes, picking it up.
He doesn't have to wait for the green flag. He can just go at this point. So we're green, obviously, and Johnny O'Connell looking to the inside of his teammate. Here comes Davison. We talk about the aggression here. How hard will he push it on Johnny O'Connell, the championship leader, up into turn 2?
Yeah, he said if he couldn't get him into 1, where he really wanted to go after him was obviously down into 5. And Pat Long took a look at Heitkotter, couldn't quite make it work. Watch here.
Davison, a big run. Johnny O's going to protect that inside line, I think. He does. Long looks to the outside of Heitkotter. Palmer's in there with the Bentley.
I thought Davison was going to try and stay outside of Johnny O and get inside up into 7. That didn't work. But he got a great run, Cal. Looks to the inside, not there. But here comes Long.
Heitkotter. Does he make it stick? He forces the issue. He does. He gets through there.
Boy, and that may have messed Heitkotter up. Does Lewis have a shot now?
So what about the exit speed off here? But it's hard to make a move before this next little kink.
I think Lewis had an opportunity, but he had no room there.
That was a really aggressive move there by Pat Long, but he's got to make something happen. Alvaro Parent, this McLaren has just come to life early in this run once again. As we saw on the initial start, 2 or 3 laps in, Cooper's car looks stronger.
And Andrew Davis up in the 9th, Cindric in 10th, and looks pretty clean thus far. Adderley Fong right there, that's that gray in lime green Bentley, having a good run as well, just outside of the top 10. A good performance there. Fogarty still back in 13th, Cal.
Palmer looking for a way by Lewis. 2014 winner here in GT competition. He loves this racetrack. He said the Bentley, he said it gets the front tires up to temp really quickly as the rear tires. We're really leaning on that TC in the opening laps of these races and restarts.
Yeah, he said the longer it goes green, he thinks it's really going to favor this car.
Well, that was one of the problems with it. I mean, it was super easy on the tires in terms of tire deg, but it would hurt them in qualifying. It would hurt them in the opening laps of the race. So they tweak on the suspension, just trying to get that tire to come to life a little bit sooner in the run.
So as we run right now at about 23 minutes in, it's Alvaro Parent leading in the McLaren from Capex, Michael Cooper and Johnny O'Connell in the Cadillacs. 1, 2, or 2 and 3 in the GT division. In GTA, Martin Fuentes leads over Mike Shine and Drew Riggets. And in GT Cup, Alec Udell over Corey Fergus, and Sloan Urie has slipped around Preston Calvert up into 3rd. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park. We are well underway here in this race at this stage, but it looks kind of like it's been a, well, we've seen it before moment. We've got Parent leading, but Michael Cooper has now glommed right onto the back of Alvaro at this stage. A bit of a gap back to Johnny O'Connell. This is exactly what we saw before the caution.
It is, and I'm looking at, we've got a better camera angle there that time in terms of his exit of turn 3. I think that's what's giving him the acceleration up and over 4, and that's a critical place to gain an advantage because that's right before our stop, take brake zone, and it takes the pressure off. He's not having to defend that inside line with Cooper being a car length closer.
Well, and it looks too like he might be, you know, is he diamonding turn 5 just a little bit to get it rotated, pick up the throttle sooner, and that run you're talking about allows him to have that margin, doesn't it?
It does. It doesn't have. It means he doesn't have to compromise turn 5 when he gets down in there. He's not having to defend from Michael Cooper, and that's really critical. I mean, the McLaren's just superbly balanced through turn 3. He's using all of the road. He's got the confidence to do so, and that's taking the pressure off for him in the key area for overtaking here at Barber.
Boy, this is some fun stuff we're watching right here. J.D. Davison, that's the battle for 4th under attack by Pat Long.
Yeah, and as we've seen so many times before, Pat Long and Johnny O'Connell, 2 of the real veterans. No, Pat Long looks to the inside, and it's that door that keeps getting opened by a Nissan. I mean, Davison doesn't do it to the same extent as Highcutter, but both of those guys really go wide there. And if Pat Long really forces it and just gets a little bit closer down on the inside, he may be able to hold him off, but then it's going to be JD to the inside for 15, so they could trade some paint.
That'd be interesting. And Pat, I mean, he could certainly try and change his line in there to get a better run in, right?
He certainly can, and he'll recognize the traits. What he's doing now is just really eyeballing J.D. Davison and where the strengths and weaknesses are, any line deficiencies that he thinks he has, and try and take advantage. He wants more. He's sitting there in the 4th spot, 5th spot. He realizes the championship lead, O'Connell, is 2 places ahead of him right now. He's got to get to Johnny O somehow.
We're getting a report, by the way, that Adderley Fong apparently doesn't understand what a force field is because he and Ostrin have had a bit, and he got a warning, Fong did, about a little bit of side-by-side bump, and so those guys are back at it again. Remember, they came together at St. Pete and had that big incident here.
Wouldn't be a World Challenge race without Austin Cindric being hit by someone, it seems.
This year, absolutely. And you take a look here, coming up the hill right behind those 2, there's Austin, who has said, well, maybe I just need to go a little faster and clear him. And he's done that with the car right there. That is the 43 of Ryan Eversley. He's carrying our iBox suspension cam. And, you know, Cal, this is a smooth track, but when you have cars running with this level of aero, you need that suspension to do exactly what it needs to keep that car planted.
Yeah, and you can see it's doing its job superbly well right now. I mean, this Acura switch from all-wheel drive to 2-wheel drive, just rear-wheel drive vehicle now, sort of like in line with the rest of the competition, but the IBAC suspension certainly works really well around this relatively smooth racetrack. But the key is you want to be able to use a little bit of those curbs as well. There's some key areas around there. If you can ride the curbs through the chicane, that can give you an advantage.
Once again, we're seeing a pretty impressive run. Kyle Marcelli right behind this group of cars. He's been up a little bit further a few times here, but remember, that's not the new generation Audi. And he and that DeVilbiss CRP team have done a great job of making that thing fast. And there it is again. There's a little, that just knocked something off of, I hope was it one of the diffuser straights?
Could have been. There's certainly a little touch there as they went through the middle of the apex. Fong certainly able to roll some speed without Bentley. We thought the Bentleys would be quick here this weekend. And certainly in practice, they showed tremendous pace. Didn't quite get the qualifying runs they were looking for, but here in race trim, taking it to one of the McLarens right now. Palmer's having a good run as well. He's up in the 8th spot, so you got Palmer in 8th, Fong in 11th with this. It's a team that's based in Asia, Absolute Racing. They've got a Texas base here for the Bentleys while they're competing in Pirelli World Challenge, but great to see them make the move over here and representing Bentley. We had Dyson Racing here last year, and they've been replaced with a really first-class operation here with Absolute.
And just got word from Jeff down in pit lane that Colin Thompson said it felt like something maybe broke. Now, that's possible you get a hit like that. If somebody does tap you, you can feel like that too on occasion. So we'll certainly try and figure that one out, obviously. But right now, boy, this is just some fierce stuff. And Adderley not too worried about getting right up underneath Austin Cindric here and making him work.
He's looking for different lines around this racetrack to try and take advantage, just to see if he changes his line a little bit. Cindric into the ABS, but he locks up, and Adderley Fong's going to take advantage of that. He squeezed through on the inside. He's going to run him out a little bit wide. Nothing Austin can do about that. And that's what we talked about when we discussed our stop-tech brake zone. Even with ABS, you get in there a little bit too deep. It's a downhill run. As soon as you turn that steering wheel, it will light up the inside front.
He did a nice job of keeping it on track at least, but costly as Fong through Eversley. Looking at it here.
Fogarty looking racing in the back of this pack.
Coming up in the back of Marcelli. That would be a pass for 13th. That's the position they're battling for.
Look at Eversley. He was wringing the neck of the Acura. We were over on the backside of the circuit the other morning, Greg, and his mother was over there watching early morning practice. Look at Eversley. He's dancing that Acura all around this racetrack.
Yeah, he is always spectacular, Ryan Eversley is. Ooh, a little bobble there by Marcelli. Some great battling. We're going to have to step away for just a minute, but we will come right back and keep this one going for you. It's still Parent leading from Cooper, but Johnny O'Connell is starting to close in just a bit as well.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by McLaren GT, manufacturers of championship-winning GT cars. By Replay XD. Life's in HD. Replay it. And by Optima Batteries, the ultimate power source. The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by BRM. And by Audi. Truth in engineering. Visit AudiUSA.com or schedule a test drive today.
Welcome back. The battle for the win. Looks like it might be becoming a 3-car battle, a McLaren and 2 Cadillacs here at the Barber Motorsports Grand Prix presented by Porsche. Heading down into turn 1, Cal. Cooper is there, but Johnny seems to be coming.
Johnny O and that Velocity Red Cadillac is definitely in the picture right now. It seems like Alvaro Parent has maybe used his car up, and he is really hanging on. He's using a lot more of the road. He's kicking up dust on every single corner, it seems like. But again, the advantage that he has on the exit of turn 3 and up over the crest allows him to take the normal racing line down into our stop-tech brake zone. But O'Connell is in the frame.
He is indeed. And by the way, in the GTA category, Mike Shine is really hounding Fuentes, who's going to have to earn this one if he's going to keep it. Alec Udell has things fairly comfortable in hand in GT Cup right now. So focusing right here for just a minute here on this trio of beautiful GT3 machines.
Well, Alvaro Parent, he beat Johnny O in terms of the technical infraction for Johnny O at Long Beach, but he'd love to win one and take the checkered flag first here on his debut in Pirelli World Challenge this season. But it's not going to come easy. Just over 5 minutes on the board. Can the McLaren driver hang on?
Update from the pits. The problem for Eversley, they changed the ECU. Took a look at the left rear tire. He's back out. A big wiggle by Johnny.
Johnny O'Connell really leans in that TC. I spoke to Steve Cole, who heads up this Cadillac program. He said Michael's a little bit smoother. He uses about 40% of the TC when we look at the data compared to Johnny O. So he's digging deep. He's trying to wrestle a little bit more grip out of those Pirelli P0s and put the pressure on his teammate.
Boy, and there's that line you're talking about by Parent, isn't it? Similar to what the Nissans do in 14. He opens it up coming in a bit.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
Look here, look at the gap every time down into turn 5. And I think that could be winning him this race today.
Boy, but even with that wiggle, look how quick Johnny made that all back up and more. Is that maybe he's just managed those tires and he's got more left?
Well, possibly. I mean, he's certainly a very savvy driver. He never seems to put a foot wrong. He knows the game so well. And he's watching his teammate. You can read off of him exactly how hard to push the car. If he sees his teammate starting to squirm a little bit in terms of grip, he can relate that to his car. How is it feeling? And Johnny O studies data. He'll be looking at what his young teammate is doing and the advantage he may have had in qualifying to try and put it into effect here in the race.
Cal, look at this battle in GTA, that white-black Hublot Ferrari. Right behind him is Mike Shine in that Wright Motorsports Porsche. And these two guys, that's for the lead in GTA. There's a look at Petey Cunningham and Fogarty. Here's Fuentes.
Well, he's going to be surprised at this. I think he felt that Frankie Montecalvo, if they get that Mercedes running correctly here today, would be his strongest threat. But Michael Shine is having an awesome run here in the 16 Porsche.
He told me after the qualifying, he said, we're going to make a couple of little changes. We're looking for a little bit more front to work on the car. I think they did.
Gee, yeah, he's definitely in the mix. He is going to put the heat on. He's not afraid to make moves. We've seen him in other series competition, Greg. He can be aggressive when necessary.
Yeah, in the US GT3 Cup Series, he has been very, very fast. And he said, this is a whole different level of car he's driving. And he said, once you're still working to get my head around it, well, I think he might have the cap on.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. A little bit wide there. Then he gets that late apex and should be able to straighten his hands and get on the power a little bit sooner. Exiting turn 3. Bren continuing to do the job up front. I think this is as close as O'Connell's been on his teammate. He's not going to do anything rash, though. He recognizes the big picture. His points, another podium will be just fine.
Yeah, Michael Cooper, what a statement he's making this year. People were going, yeah, he had a touring car championship, but this is a whole different game. Is he up to it? Yeah, no question about it. Fast lap at Long Beach, first pole here. But it looks like Parent, I wonder if he may have had something in reserve there.
Some traffic up ahead. I think this is the biggest concern right now for Alvaro Parent, is getting a good clean run. This is not a good opportunity to hit traffic. Is it going to slow him? Michael Cooper's got to read this and get a run on this front straightaway. Cooper could be closer down into turn 1.
I don't know that he was quite close enough, was he, Cal? Parent, Cooper's coming. Yuri opens the door, lets him through.
Slides it to the inside. Johnny Red goes high.
And clears.
Clears him. But I think the delta there has definitely been reduced between the two leaders.
No question. Here we go, heading into the stop tech braking zone. Turn 5. They call it.
You can see there that McLaren just stretches the lead by a car length or two. Johnny Red really deep on the brakes.
He rotated that early.
Last year he went from last on the grid after an engine change after qualifying up to the 4th spot. A good running going in day 2. And that massive fire that really made that Cadillac team dig deep to get another championship.
And boy, Johnny is there. And Cooper now maybe needing to pay more attention to his mirrors than Parent.
Absolutely. Again, if traffic comes into play here, Johnny O won't be afraid to put the nose in there, but it's his teammate. Yeah. It's a different dynamic, Greg. The competition is fierce in this championship, but when you come up against your teammate, you do definitely give them a little bit of a percentage in terms of the margin, how far you're going to push it. Traffic in play.
Yeah.
Rory Fergus there in the middle of this lead pack. This is really going to help Parent.
Well, I think Cooper did a smart move there. I think he backed off a little bit so he could get a run and time it to get by Ferguson, maybe have Johnny caught behind, and he played that to perfection if that was his game plan.
Yeah, that is really taking the advantage away that Johnny had there. So looks like things have settled down here a little bit, unfortunately for us, Greg, because there's a few car lengths between the top 3 right now.
Man, I think we are on our final lap. White flag flew as Parent came by. So now there's the lack of time left in this race for anybody to do everything. Right now, that lead group has a 10-second margin back to Davison. You just don't see that here. These guys are right now just on another level.
Well, I mean, this racetrack really puts a premium on the balance and downforce of the race cars, and I think the Cadillac's performance may be a little bit surprising to some. We expected the McLaren to really shine here, and it's certainly doing so in the hands of the Portuguese driver Álvaro Parente, but the Cadillac's running so strongly. These three are really in a different league to the rest of the field, some half-second plus clear in terms of fastest laps in this race today.
Yeah, look at Parente. I think he had a little bit in reserve here, as he has just, it looks like, just dropped the hammer a little bit.
I think the traffic certainly had some factor in that, but just a beautiful display of driving here.
Yeah. Oh boy. Onto the front straight, here we go. Álvaro Parente, a brilliant drive from the front row, got the start he needed, and McLaren wins at Barber Motorsports Park. Phenomenal run. The two Cadillacs go second and third, Cal. Cooper over O'Connell, a big margin back to the rest of the field. And this guy, Álvaro Parente, as you said, there's a reason you call somebody a factory driver, and he showed it today. That was superbly judged.
Yeah, just a great run, but great battles all the way through. Look at this. P.D. Cunningham and John Fogerty going hard at it across the line.
And more importantly, Fuentes, he had a big attack move by Shine. It was that close at the end. And I think Fuentes is looking in the mirror going, oh man, I had to work for that one. The margin there, a tenth of a second, a great drive by Shine, and it's nice to see him now. Clearly, he has figured out this car a bit more, and what a run he was able to put in. And in GT Cup, Alec Udell up 10 seconds on the field here. Just a phenomenal return to Barber Motorsports Park where he had success before, but this is exclamation point stuff.
Well, he's been dominant. I mean, he's really shown it right from practice. He just found a sweet spot with the race car here, and his crew chief, Neville Agassi, has done a tremendous job. Great job by Alec Udell.
Coming to the wall, I think that's a thanks to Neville, the GMG guys, and all those sponsors that helped make that happen. Alec Udell, after winning the opener at COTA, he's back on top of the podium, and there is Álvaro Parente enjoying this cool-down lap. We'll be right back to hear from our winner. Welcome back to a beautiful afternoon at Barber Motorsports Park and the Barber Motorsports Grand Prix presented by Porsche. 6th round of the GT Championship for the Pirelli World Challenge is completed, and it was something to watch. And right at the front, from the front row, although it wasn't pole, Álvaro Parente able to bring it home with a win. He is standing by with Jeff Lepper.
Yeah, what a race. It was hard out there, you know, being pressured by the two Cadillacs, and I think once the rubber is fresh, so at the beginning till the middle, we're looking really strong, and we're going to try to fix something for the end of the race. You know, I was struggling a little bit there at the end, but you know, this one really tastes like a win. It was hard work. You know, car was a little bit nervous. We'll work on it for tomorrow, but that one really tastes like a win.
What a great run. Well judged by Álvaro Parente. What a star he is. Cal, let's take a look at our Cadillac ATS-VR move of the race, and I think it was a nice strategy move by one Mike Cooper.
Well, he was feeling the heat from his teammate Johnny Ray. Came out strong at the end, but Michael Cooper controlled the traffic perfectly. The 0-0 was a concern there through the final corner. He backed off. He's got a clean run on at the front straightaway.
Nothing O'Connell could do. Trapped behind him. Nicely done. Great racing throughout the field in GTA, one of the closest of the season. Let's get down and hear from our winner.
Well, Martin Fuentes, 6 wins now, but this one you earned, sir.
Yes, this one, they got their money for it. It was challenging. We got a pretty big lead at the beginning. Then Mike had a very good run, and I could hear on the radio he was catching me. And I had no more car. I ran the tires by following some of the GT guys. But yeah, 6th win. I'm happy. I'm so happy. This one was really tired. This was really stressful, but I'm so happy we pulled it off.
Now, let's get down and hear from our GT Cup winner, Alec Udell. Repeats here at Barber. Jeff?
Well, Alec Udell, your 5th career win, 2nd this season. How is this going to help you in the championship?
Man, we unfortunately had a bit of issues at St. Petersburg, like I always do. So it's great to get this win and get the pole today to make up the maximum points I could have today. Extremely happy. You know, just to come back after St. Petersburg with a little bit of bad luck and be on the top step. That's where I want to be.
What a dominant race that was for Alec Udell. Now let's take a look at our key at turning point. Cal, I think this is one, yes, it was the big wreck by the number 13 at Thompson, but more importantly, that Ferrari behind him avoiding it.
Yeah, just great move there by Martin Fuentes. He narrowly missed the accident of Colin Thompson. and that enabled him to go on and score his 6th consecutive victory here this season.
Even though it was mighty close there at the end, wasn't it? Now let's take a look at our Motor Trend On Demand clean pass of the race, and it was a veteran move by one of the best.
Well, after that restart, Pat Long's a man on a mission. He made a great move down to the inside into that chicane here of turn 7, A and B, and he makes the move for 5th on Brian Highcutter.
Speaking of veterans, it's won the most veteran in terms of Pirelli World Challenge success. VP Racing Fuel's Hard Charger Award. 7-time champion P.D. Cunningham in the number 42 Acura up 7 spots as the race unfolded. That leads us into our Motul Fast Lap Award winners. Doubly important here because not just is it a nice award, but also it sets the pole positions in the 3 classes for the 7th round of the championship. And Alvaro Parent in the McLaren, a 1 minute 24.726 in that K-Pax entry on pole and gets Motul Fast Lap Award. In GTA, number 66, Frankie Montecalvo in the Dime Racing Mercedes, 125.927. Problems in the race, but had the speed. And in GT Cup, no surprise here, Alec Udell in the number 17, Euro World Motorsports, Global Motorsports Group Porsche at a 128.787. That wraps up round 6. Don't go anywhere though, folks, because when we come back, we'll have our call for round 7.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Eibach, the world leader in high-performance suspension, by Bentley Motors, and by AFE Power, advanced engineering, proven performance. The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by VP Racing Fuels. Our passion is your performance. And by Kia Optima, not your average midsize sedan.
Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park, everybody, for the Barber Motorsports Grand Prix presented by Porsche. And as you can see, cars are out and ready and rolling on their pace lap. So we're excited about getting this 7th round underway. But, you know, this is presented by Porsche. Porsche, a great partner of this championship. And for a little bit more on that, here's Porsche's Jens Walter.
Jens, you have a strong presence in the Pirelli World Challenge GT Series now.
Yeah, we've been a long partner with the World Challenge over the years in the different classes. This year we run in 2 classes, in the GT class and also in the GT Cup category. The new 911 GT3R, which we introduced this year worldwide, actually ran the first race here with the FIA homologation. And a number of our customers have chosen that car to run. So we're really happy to be a strong partner of Pirelli World Challenge here.
They do a lot more than just having the cars here. It's also support for these drivers and teams as well.
Yeah, we actually call it the aspirin factor. We take care of the headache, so we make sure that the teams can really focus on preparing the cars, pleasing their sponsors, and making sure that they have a good performance on the track. So we come here with engineering, we come here with parts. So if anything happens on the track or they have any questions about the car, our support crew is actually here to support the teams.
Absolutely fabulous partner, and boy, what a history Porsche has. Now, of course, this is the 7th round of the championship we're set for. After round 6, as always, there seems to be a little bit of drama. For an update, let's get down and hear from Jeff Lepper.
Thanks, Greg. J.D. Davidson, as always evolving Nissan GTR, gets a 3-grid penalty for contact with Patrick Long in his effort Porsche yesterday. Frank Montecalvo starts in our GTA category from pole position. A good redemption for that team after the problems they had at Long Beach with that incident and fuel pump problems yesterday. Sloan Uri was riding a skateboard about a week ago, fell, sprained his wrist. They have a local boxer who was able to wrap that wrist so he can make the grid today, but it is affecting his performance a little bit. And Colin Thompson in his K-Pax McLaren 650S, damaged yesterday, not able to get that car fixed. He'll miss the race today.
All right, thanks very much, Jeff. Interesting times as we get set for the 7th round of the championship. But now it's time to look at our Motul Pole Award winners. And in GT, it went to the driver of that K-Pax McLaren, yesterday's winner, Alvaro Parent, a 1 minute 24.726 lap. That puts him up front. Let's hear from our pole sitter.
The Cadillacs are looking strong, and the rest of the field, you know, it's different conditions this morning, a lot cooler. Hopefully it should be good for us too, you know, but also for the other guys, you know, tire wear and all that. But looking forward to a good start and see what happens from there.
And moving on through the field, in the Motul GTA Pole Award winner, it was Frankie Montecalvo. Even though he didn't have a great finish in the race, a brilliantly quick lap at a 1 minute 25.927 in the Dime Racing Mercedes. And in the Motul GT Cup Pole Award winner, it is Alec Udell, yesterday's winner, with a very fast 1 minute 28.787, almost a second clear of the field. And the lights are out on the Cadillac ATSV pace car. We are about ready to go racing into that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone as soon as the Cadillac pulls off. And we talked about it. It is huge to get the start here, tough to pass. And also we're going to be watching a few rows back that number 31 Porsche and that Nissan number 33. All right, here we go. Parent onto the front straight and looking forward. The green flag is out and we are racing for round 7. Parent has to go way to the inside, Cal, to defend on O'Connell. Does that open the door for Cooper?
Look at Davison down at the inside. There's contact there with Adley Fong. Davison into the side of that Bentley. The two Porsches get through cleanly.
Yeah, at least it wasn't a Porsche. But boy, again, Davison being ultra aggressive here, Cal.
Cooper to the front. Cooper's made the move on Parent. And look at this. A strong battle here between Mike Lewis and Johnny O'Connell down into our stop tech brake zone.
And O'Connell inside there, that might just do it and allow him to hang on to that third spot. Looking a little bit further back in the pack, and it looks like Monte Calvo, indeed.
Look at the two Porsches side by side, heading down into turn 7.
Tight quarters here, entering side by side, they give way.
Lewis hangs on. Pat Long, a man on the move right now. Up to the 5th position. But what a start for Michael Cooper, turning the tables on Alvaro Parent.
Boy, and Monte Calvo, by the way, in GTA, made that starting opportunity hold, and he is in front. Here comes now Fogarty trying to get in between them.
See there, that McLaren really eating a lot of the curb. Johnny O'Connell pretty wide through that turn there, so very different lines through that particular corner. Fogarty really putting the pressure on Fuentes. There's Cindric in the picture as well. That's tight there between. Fuentes is wide. He's in the gray. Fogarty goes through.
I think that's exactly why Fogarty was so anxious. He knew Cindric was right there, and Cindric got the nose underneath him, didn't he?
He really did.
And now that slowed Cindric up, and here comes the Acura contingent down to the inside. Ooh, close, Cunningham and Cindric, and wasn't a touch. That's as close as it gets, and Cunningham finally had to give way.
What a racetrack this is. It's a ribbon of asphalt, but look up front. Michael Cooper has taken off at the front of this field. He had pace here yesterday. He came alive on about lap 2 or 3, but it's much earlier today. Maybe those tweaks on the Cadillac are performing well here.
Well, they were adamant on doing it. There's Alec Udell, who looks to have once again checked out at the start here in GT Cup. Once again over Corey Fergus in that US LED Porsche. Then Sloan Uri, then Preston Calvert. And good to see Corey Fergus being so competitive after that huge hit at St. Pete. But right now, it is Mr. Udell controlling things at the front once again. He loved his car yesterday. Saw him at the end of the day yesterday. I said, I assume you're not touching it? He said, we're not touching a thing. Let's go back now, Cal, and take a look at their start.
Here they come. Alec Udell, he was dominant here yesterday, and just a perfect start here. It's difficult when you're on the outside of the front row because that 3rd place runner, Sloan Uri, can't tuck it to the inside. But Corey Fergus hung on there nicely.
And Udell, who came so close to getting his first wins here in GT Cup right here at Barber, ended up with 2 fighting second places, going for a sweep here perchance. And now we've got Andrew Palmer right there coming up on J.D. Davison, putting some pressure on. And Ryan Eversley now trying to find a way around Andrew Davis. But boy, you're right, Cooper settling in with a nice margin in the early going here. He really has been a revelation this year.
Well, the irony is that really Johnny O'Connell who said this is the boy we should get. He got introduced to him about 5-6 years ago. Since that time, Michael Cooper got to start racing. He's had a couple of Pirelli World Challenge Championships already to his name. And Cadillac did some testing with him, like what they saw. But boy, oh boy, what a season. But he wants that first victory. I spoke to him last night. He said, these points are great. I'm right in the mix of the championship, but I want a win. I said, just keep doing what you're doing, mate. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question of that. And there's a look at Austin Cindric as they come working through, and the guy that he's working on is that 99 Gainesco Red Dragon McLaren. That's John Fogarty, and he gets the Optima Batteries Best Start Award, up 5 spots in the opening lap. And that's got to be just a good feeling for him to know that he was able to make some passes. Hopefully the back end of that car is a little bit more planted for him.
Yeah, great effort by that team to even get the car here this weekend. They are burning the midnight oil to try and make that happen. And John Ward and the whole gang were there collectively last night just trying to figure out how can we make this car more competitive here today. John Fogerty has been so competitive here over the years, couple of poles, couple of wins in Grand Am competition. He loves this racetrack, and he is basically scratching his head yesterday after seeing his fast lap of the race.
When Monte Calvo is in the lead in GTA, but more importantly, he's got those two McLarens between himself and Fuentes. Talking to the crew yesterday, and they said, other than that ECU issue, they said the car has been very quick, as you said, fast right out of the box when they got here. And some of it, even though it's a front-engine car with that short rear end on it and where that engine is mounted in the chassis, it's pretty well balanced.
It really is, and that's what you need around this racetrack, but the key is maintaining the balance over the long run here.
So that's the trick.
That is the trick. And it's not easy. I mean, there's so many different series running here with the IndyCar, Indy Lights on different rubber, different track conditions this morning. Basically, make your best guess.
Boy, and last time by, Cooper's lead was 1.7 seconds. It looks like it may be just a bit more than that. And impressive run by Michael Cooper as he leads over Parent in the McLaren. Teammate Johnny O'Connell, Monte Calvo over Fuentes, and a very competitive Joe Toussaint. That's great to see here. And Alec Udell leading Corey Ferguson, Sloan Urie in GT Cup. The beautiful blue GMG Porsche for Euro World Motorsports up and over the brow. Alec Udell going for his second straight win after dominating in round 6. Here, though, is the battle that's starting to shape up. And again, Corey Ferguson, that US LED Porsche, nice to see them running so well. But the story might just be Sloan Urie, is the runaway points leader after a great start to the season. Had a little bit of an incident, Jeff told us about, with that longboard. And he hurt his wrist, but he's gone kind of into an interesting approach to how to take care of that.
Yeah, his engineer actually contacted a local boxing rank, and they got him a trainer. He's been here on site strapping his wrist to try and get him through this event. And the bigger problem here yesterday was the car was extremely loose. He thought something was maybe broken with the car. They tore it apart last night, did not find anything, so they've just gone with a slightly different setup today, and it looked to be more competitive. But I mean, Alec Udell is in a class of his own. He's about a second and 3/4 quicker than those two behind him. He's just been dominant here this weekend.
And here's a look at 33, J.D. Davison, the AER now Replay XD Nissan, and he just got a very stern warning from race control about that contact with the gray 88 Bentley of Adderley Fong at the start.
Yeah, again, he got down to the inside, and there's a bit of a bottleneck there, as you would expect. And looking at the left side of Kyle Marcelli's Audi, who set a really quick lap time here yesterday, he's running in the 10th spot. He's had a little bit of contact somewhere along the line. You can see it there flared out on that left rear quarter panel.
Well, you talked about how close quarters it is with this big field at the start. And let's go back and take a look at that start, Cal, and just maybe analyze it a little bit more in depth.
Well, look at this. Brent looks to the inside, and Cooper suddenly runs him side by side through that corner. Look to the inside there. Adderley Fong has to go down to the apex. He's got Marcelli to his right, and that's probably where Marcelli's car got clipped. Palmer right in the mix there in the white and green Bentley as well.
I think Palmer may have been the one that tapped that quarter panel and knocked that piece loose. Now, as JD looks in the mirrors, he's got the teammate, Andrew Palmer, right on his 6th. Then Kyle Marcelli, who's been really, I think, impressive and not the newest of the cars on this track. In fact, one of the oldest of the GT3 homologated cars, but he's wringing its neck.
Behind him, Andrew Davis, who knows this racetrack like the back of his hand. He's one of the Porsche instructors here on this racetrack, so many, many miles here. And he just said the car's really good, but he said that top 10 is just super competitive. If you're just a tick off, this is where you're going to be running.
And Davison, currently, by the way, folks, that battle is for 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. And we're looking at right here and add Ryan Eversley right in the mix. So it's a good 5-car scrap. Then your GTA leader, Frankie Montecalvo, continuing to keep Fogarty and Cindric and the 2 GT McLarens behind him. And that'll be frustrating Martin Fuentes, who is watching that and seeing that fade out. But Montecalvo, now that they've got that car, looks to be working solidly. He's flying.
He really is, and he's just on the rebound. I mean, he's so dominant in this class this year, being the GTA champion from 2015. It's been a difficult start to the year, changing of teams and some hits along the way, but Frankie's got a lot of talent. He's got a great team manager in Mark Showman, an engineer there, and the Dime Racing team, they're certainly trying to make an impression on this championship as well with Rod Shegum.
Yeah, they'd started the championship off, and they said they were having just this weird thing in the differential of the car that was making the car just evil, and they figured it out. They stayed after it. You could see it at St. Pete. They had it solved at Long Beach, but then, of course, it got into the incident there. So I'm sure Frankie is looking forward to just one smooth, fast run here at this point. Speaking of fast,
yeah, Alvaro Pirelli just laid down a 1:23.7, which was 0.4 quicker than Michael Cooper. So maybe it's a reverse of roles from yesterday, where Cooper's car came on a little bit stronger as the race wore on. Maybe Pirelli has worked on his setup to do the same thing.
Yeah, that margin obviously has shortened up just a little bit. O'Connell's still there in third, and they have a little bit of a gap once again. As we saw yesterday, that top three, the two Cadillacs and Pirelli, had drawn fairly well clear of the field. But boy, these two leaders right now, O'Connell's a lot farther back than he was at any point yesterday.
Yeah, he's a good 0.3 off the pace of the front running two, and then the two Porsches from Effort Racing run line astern, led by the youngster Michael Lewis and Pat Long in the 5th position. Hidecutter in the Nissan in 6th. Fong having a great run here. It's good to see him on form this weekend in the second of the Bentleys.
Absolutely, as Cooper comes through, completes another lap. Alvaro Pirelli in pursuit. We're going to step away for just a moment, but we will be right back. It's Cooper in GT, Montecalvo in GTA, and Alec Udell in GT Cup.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Ferrari. By the Bob Bondurant School of High Performance Driving, official driving school of the Pirelli World Challenge Championships. And by Mercedes-Benz AMG.
Michael Cooper continues to lead here at the Barber Motorsports Grand Prix, presented by Porsche. Although after stretching his margin out to a bit over 2 seconds, it has come down to 1.3, and that beautiful dark blue and yellow Apex McLaren in the hands of Alvaro Pirelli has trimmed that margin rather substantially, and Michael and the rest of that pack, Pirelli and O'Connell, are going to be getting into some traffic in short order.
Yeah, and certainly that's a factor for Michael Cooper, because he does not have the cushion of 2.5, 3 seconds that he had at one stage of this race. So I think Pirelli has certainly shown some form here in terms of the mid part of the race. He does have a slightly faster lap time in this race at 1:23.73 to Cooper's 1:23.76. It was just a few hundredths, but more importantly, he's not fading like he did a little bit yesterday in terms of the pace, even though he won the race.
And right here, he is going to get seriously hung up, I think, Cal. He's going to try dive bomb move Yuri. That's a savvy move by Sloan. Yuri just opened the wheel up and let him through. It didn't hurt Cooper too much.
Well, I think yesterday Sloan actually hurt the leaders a little bit in terms of being in the way. So I think they had a chat with that team last night, and certainly Sloan was aware that the leaders were coming through. But even so, looks like may have helped it. Oh, 23 car turned around here, Walt Boland.
And that Audi just couldn't get around. Boy, right here now, Pirelli really getting bottled up.
He's losing a lot of time. Advantage back to Cooper there. The delta will increase.
Down into the stop tech braking zone. Both of them able to get past the cars that they were behind. Now the question is, will Fergus open that wheel up just a little bit and let him come back through, Cal?
Well, he needs to.
Yeah.
He should see him there, and I think he's just going to give him the lane. That was tight.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't disappear, and,
Right.
and from the faster guys, you can't run over the top of these guys. You've got to work well together, and you know, this is one of those racetracks. It's very flowing, so sometimes it's just literally impossible to get out of the way.
Now that they've cleared that traffic, although this battle is still a good one here for second in GT Cup, I want to remind everybody, if you're like us, huge fans of the series, and we know you are, if you want to know what's going on, and there's an easy way to do it through social media. First place to go is Pirelli World Challenge site at world-challenge.com. Lots of information, as well as great video content there, and links to live webcasts if you can't get to the track. You can also go to Facebook, just search the Pirelli World Challenge Championship fan page, or on Twitter, just look for the handle @WC Racing. And for all things racing, take a moment and check out Motor Trend On Demand. That includes archives of all the Pirelli World Challenge races. You can start your free trial at motortrendondemand.com today. And O'Connell gets through as well. How costly was that for him, Cal?
Well, I think he got a pretty clean run through there. He cleared both those cars pretty quickly, but there's been a change of position for the 4th spot. The two Effort Racing teammates have switched spots there. Pat Long now up to 4th, Michael Lewis demoted to 5th. Hidecutter continues for Nissan in 6th.
And Cindric able to get around Fogarty. We saw that order change up here as we're watching now Cooper coming up on the back of Alec Udell. And he got those headlights on and flashing, and just to let him know we're coming through. Well,
Alvaro Parent is certainly not letting Michael Cooper take off here at the front of this field. He is keeping the pressure on. The balance on that McLaren looks really good. He said, I was really hanging on at the end of the race here yesterday. And that's a very smart engineering group there at K-Pax with the Flying Lizard team as well. And they will have tweaked on that McLaren last night to try and give him a better run here today.
You can see as that race unfolded, got into that latter third, the back end of that McLaren got a little bit happy. And it was just a tremendous skill set by Parent behind the wheel, able to deal with that. And you can see Cooper going through on Udell, nice and clean. And Parent, it's going to hurt him just a little bit here. You know, Alec will just leave that open for him when he comes through and makes that move down. Or will he? Well, that tells you about the straight line speed of those GT Cup cars. They don't have anywhere near as much aero, and they are able to really carry some serious pace down those straights.
They really do. They don't have a lot of downforce, which means they don't have a lot of drag. And we're also looking at the McLaren, which does struggle a little bit in the straightaway ranks as well.
That's a very good point. So as Udell continues to lead in GT Cup, Monte Carlo has these covered in GTA. The battle, though, maybe hotting up in GT and overall. Cooper over Parent and O'Connell. We'll be right back to it. Welcome back, everybody, and Parent is in full attack mode here at the Barber Motorsports Grand Prix presented by Porsche. He lost a little bit of ground while we were in break. He gathered it up again, Cal, and got right to the rear deck of Cooper, but then Cooper now gaps him by about 2 lengths.
Well, the other problem you have through this high-speed section, Greg, you're going to get a little bit of aero wash. It's going to take the downforce off the front of that McLaren. That's enabled Michael Cooper to stretch it back out to about 2 to 3 car lengths, but Alvaro Parent is not going away. He's flat sliding that car around this racetrack, wringing its neck. This is a great battle.
And of course, Cooper able to get into the lead, Cal, with a great start.
Yeah, from the outside of the front row. Sometimes if you can just hang tough through that apex of turn 1, it gives you the inside line for turn 2. And as we go on board, you can see it was very close. They're almost 2 wheels in the dirt, but he makes the move stick, and that's what's giving him the position right now, the lead of this motor race.
And he gets that little bit of a margin back, and then Parent gets to the part of the track where that McLaren is looking so strong.
Watch the brakes on here, though. He really buries it here. They're using ABS, of course, to get in this deep.
We had an update from Jeff down in pit lane that the K-Pax team told him they have set that car up for a long green run, and he certainly seems to be getting quicker as this race unfolds here. And he's saying nothing to the crew, total focus.
Well, Steve Cole said that Michael Cooper's super smooth, even comparing to Johnny O'Connell. He said he uses about 40% of the TC that's available compared to Johnny O'Connell, but I think with the heat he's feeling from behind, he's going to be leaning on that gas pedal and hoping those electronics kick in.
A little clump of dirt down there on one of the edge of the splitters.
That's sacrilege.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Shouldn't be tearing this place up. It's so beautiful.
I thought you were talking about how great the car is, but yeah, you're right. This track is something special indeed. Davis, big lunge on Palmer and the Bentley, but Davis in that black and yellow Porsche couldn't quite sneak through.
Davison again giving it 1,000,000%, hanging on here for dear life.
Boy, hanging on is right. We've got to look at something here, Cal, and watch this. This is some pretty fierce stuff that this battle has been putting on.
Oh, look at that, Marcelli down to the inside. Aggressive move gives Davison a little nudge, but Davison just stays in the gas.
What, is that karma?
And look at Palmer, he gets a run there. They're 3 abreast there down the front straightaway, and Andrew Davis is getting a huge draft, a huge tow there, but he can't do anything with it.
Oh, spectacular stuff. And getting a word that now the 33 of J.D. Davison, he's getting a warning for blocking as well. So this has been a tough weekend for J.D., although certainly quick.
Well, it's hard. He'll be frustrated because he's fighting it for tooth and nail for every position, and he's got someone up above kind of giving him guidelines of how he can race, but he's got to keep it clean. I mean, he's on the radar right now in terms of a little bit of contact that he's had early in the season.
And once again, Parent right there on the back of Cooper at this point, but right through there, he just loses it, doesn't he?
Well, I think he used a bit more of the curb than he would like, and he had to get out of the throttle a little bit. That cost him half a car length.
By the way, just want to give a shout out. We're going to keep watching this battle, of course, but Monte Carlo with that big lead in GTA went to his second, but Drew Riggett's right now in the iRacer coaching. Riggett's Racing and Steve Cameron Racing, Audi maybe going for a second consecutive podium in GTA. Shine had that issue, and Joe Toussaint looking at a second straight top 5. Great for those guys.
Looks like O'Connell has kept that gap constant at about 1.5 seconds back to Pat Long. So looks like our championship leader may be on for another podium run here today.
Ooh, Is that our first little wiggle I saw from Cooper?
He's pushing hard. He realizes that Brent is very strong down in our stop-take brake zone. He wants to try and increase the margin there as he gets to the brake pedal.
And time is starting to run out just a little bit. 10 minutes to go.
Watch out, fit. Oh, and Cindric's around.
Austin, that was from 13th.
Didn't see anyone else involved. That's coming through turn 14, 15 towards the front straightaway.
Fortunately able to keep it alive and get the gear. Quick look at it, see what happened, Cal.
Oh, well, there was someone involved in terms of he was going for it down to the inside of Eversley. At the end of the spin, I didn't see any other cars there in terms of turning him, but certainly he saw the door open a little bit. That's a tough one. You really flow and carry a lot of mid-corner speed there, and I think Ryan had every right to turn down. Maybe could have given him a little bit of racing room.
Boy, did you see all the carbon brake dust coming out of the car when he was sliding sideways?
I think the trend continues. Austin Cindric goes another race where he's had someone get into him.
Yeah. I guess somebody has to tank Cindric somewhere to make it an official Pirelli World Challenge GT weekend, the way it's unfolding here. Well, there you go, Parent now. That margin back up to, last time through was about 7/10 of a second, and it's going to be about that similar margin now. They're going to be approaching some traffic. Yeah, looks like Johnny's coming, isn't it?
He does, yeah. It looks like the leaders have dropped their pace by 3 or 4 tenths, and Johnny O'Connell's pace has stayed consistent. He's closer.
Well, and they're going to be coming up on some traffic, so we're going to step away real quick. We'll be right back and bring this exciting finish to you here at Barber Motorsports Park.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Lincoln Tech, America's Technical Institute. By TireRack.com, revolutionizing tire buying since 1979. And by Motor Trend On Demand. Visit MotorTrendOnDemand.com. Start your free trial today.
Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park at the Grand Prix. There is your race leader, Michael Cooper, who, Cal, has seemed to have found a little bit of an answer to the attack that Parent put on. He's opened it up by maybe 2 more car lengths. I mean, that's about as much of an answer as you get at this level.
It's really tight, and you can see Parent using a little bit of finesse there through turn 2. He was really just trying to maintain the balance in the car and still get a good exit offer there. So he's working it. He's trying everything, every trick in his book in trying to get that gap reduced and maybe find some traffic that will open up an opportunity to grab the lead in the late going.
I think some of the traffic that Cooper and Parent have run into have slowed them up a bit, because look behind them. Johnny Red in the red Cadillac and Pat Long in the Effort Porsche, they are closing.
They really are. They've been taking about 3 or 4 tenths out of the lead over this last 6 or 7 laps. So they've got pace. They've got the long run capability in their 2 cars.
Great variety here. One of the things we love about this, a Cadillac, a McLaren, a Cadillac, a Porsche, Nissans, Bentleys. It goes on, and this is just some fascinating stuff to watch. These 2 different platforms, the Cadillac front engine, the McLaren mid-engine, the Porsche far rear engine, and all in play here for a podium at Barber Motorsports Park in the Grand Prix presented by Porsche. And this is where we watched Alvaro use that wide approach line to get great speed here. It looks like he may have done it again.
He does. He's a little bit closer. Is he close enough to have a look to the inside down in a stop-tech brake zone? Really putting the pressure on Michael Cooper. Again, Cooper has not won yet in GT competition. Can he hang on for the win?
And I'll tell you what a story it would be if he can in front of a McLaren factory driver, Parent. I think that was just, see if he could rattle him a little bit.
Yeah, just see if he can help him miss his marks a little bit. He wasn't going to accelerate that Cadillac down towards that corner, but he is probing. He is looking for a way through.
Where he certainly would, that's why it's the stop deck brake zone, would be down into 5, but he's got to be a bit closer than he has been.
A little bit closer, yeah, and it's going to be a risky move because Cooper's really strong on the brakes as well. And that's what makes it so enticing there. But when you go downhill and you suddenly start to have to turn that wheel, you can, even with the ABS, it's really easy to get a little bit squirrely there on the entry.
Meanwhile, there is Frankie Montecalvo in that Dime Racing Mercedes. He's in trouble.
He is trouble.
Something's sounding rough in that engine, Cal.
Boy, oh boy, what a season for Frankie Montecalvo. After all of the success last year, things just don't seem to go his way. And he's going to have to look in his rearview mirrors here. Here comes Martin Fuentes. How big a problem is on that Mercedes? Will the lead in GTA change here in the last couple of laps?
Well, Monte Carlo's last lap was a 1:30.5. Fuente's at 27.2. So to the tune of 3 seconds, and the margin's about 12, it looks like.
That's right, so it's going to be awfully close. Oh boy. They had an ECU issue yesterday.
Oh, Fergus from second into the gravel, Cal.
He's going to be stuck, I think.
Let's see if we can, there was a fierce battle unfolding here. What happened?
As Boland got into him.
Tapped by Boland.
That's unfortunate. It's a nice clean run from Corey Fergus here. Jortasano's around as well.
He had just gone by Monte Calvo, although a lap down, but had that off. It's going to be interesting to see what the stewards have to do with Fergus beached over there. There's Udell right in the middle, still leading a GT Cup lead in the middle of a sandwich of our 2 GT leaders. Laurent slices through.
He's just really trying to find a couple of tenths in his race car somehow, somewhere. Look, O'Connell is so close there. Long goes through as well. It is really tightening up for those podium positions.
Well, you see Udell give a lot of room to the number 31 along. You know, you want him to help you in coaching.
Yeah, that's right.
You treat him right on that track.
Going to be 2 more laps to go, I believe. They're going to hopefully let these guys run just under a local yellow there in that particular corner. Brent has to be careful, even if it's lap traffic. He can't make that pass.
Boy, and that was offline for Parent. That cost him some time, not just to Cooper, but that now. Watch O'Connell, he's going to pop into the frame here. That's as close as we've seen, and the stewards are saying white flag. Next time by, we'll go green to the finish.
Look at this, Johnny O'Connell. So savvy, so much poise as a 4-time champ. He has closed the gap on Alvaro Parent, and this could really help Michael Cooper. If Parent suddenly looking in his rearview mirror at what is O'Connell doing, that may enable Cooper to get that first victory.
And Johnny understands the factory end of things too, and how important finishes are and double podiums are for the manufacturer. He had one of the best wingmen in the business in Andy Pilgrim the last number of years. He understands how you play this game.
Well, I think he was hoping that Cooper would be another wingman, but right now he's a fierce contender for the championship.
Well, nice job there by Toussaint letting those through, but Parent got a tremendous run, Cal.
He's right there. He is really, really close here. He needs to try and square up this exit to this corner. He looks to the inside. That's not going to work. You're going to watch that you don't compromise your speed too much. Here comes O'Connell.
White flag, 1 to go here in round 7, and the battle is on and more traffic ahead. O'Connell took that little bit of a look there.
Who would have believed this? 10, 15 laps ago, O'Connell wasn't even in the frame, and right now he's all over the back of that McLaren. He wants more than a podium.
Down through the bottom, 3, and now 4. Heading into the Stop Tech braking zone for the last time. I don't think anybody's quite close enough.
Cooper has not put a foot wrong here today. Beautiful start. Look at O'Connell, though. He is really putting the heat on Parent.
By the way, just to let you know, folks, Fuentes has now been able to get around and has taken the lead back in GTA. It would be a 7th straight win if it stays like this, but all eyes on the front here. 3 cars covered by the blanket, and Pat Long just about a pillow's length away.
Johnny O'Connell came into this round of the championship with the lead, but is by a mere 13 points over the guy who's right in front of him, Alvaro Parent. Is going to be awfully tight tonight unless he can make a move on him.
He's running out of time to do it, about halfway through the lap now. You hear that traction control. These guys are pushing Cal for absolutely everything they can.
O'Connell's going to look through the final couple of turns, but Cooper looks safe.
Cooper looks safe. Parent, unless he makes a little mistake, not prone to do that, onto the front straight. Michael Cooper gets his first win as a GT driver in the Cadillac. Parent, another top 2 finish. Johnny O'Connell sits in 3rd, Long close in 4th, then a big margin back to Michael Lewis in 5th. And there is Alec Udell coming through and taking his 2nd consecutive win. 3rd on the season in GT Cup in the Euro World Motorsports Global Motorsports Group. Porsche and Fuentes. Fuentes just has to hit his marks.
What a drive by Drew Riggins here this weekend. Congratulations to he and Steve Cameron Racing and the performance here this weekend. This is a big step up for that group.
1 more corner coming up. Fuentes a little wide there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's having problems with that corner.
And he comes through and he does it. It's close, Cal. Yesterday's margin was 1.8 seconds, 0.18 seconds this time. And there, look at the dejection. There is Frankie Montecalvo. He had the car, he had the package today. Not to happen.
That's a shame, but this is a great group. They will rebound and they will get victories here this year for sure. But the championship is getting more and more out of reach.
Michael Cooper, what a run. And when we come back, we'll hear from our first-time GT winner. Round 7 of the Pirelli World Challenge GT Championship in the books, and it got fascinating right at the end. But in the end, Michael Cooper gets his first win as a GT category driver. He is with Jeff Lepper.
Just unbelievable. You know, Alvaro pushed me really hard, but the Cadillac ATS VR was just on rails today. You know, totally hooked up. I can't thank these guys at Cadillac Racing enough. You know, back in 2013, they took a chance on me and put me in a car for a test. You know, they dared greatly, and now we win together.
What a great story it is. And Cal, let's take a look at those GT Drivers' Championship points.
Well, it is getting really tight. Johnny O'Connell continues to lead this championship, but Parent has got much closer this weekend, and Cooper very much in the mix. With that win, Lewis and Long round out the top 5.
And in the GTA category, as you take a look at the GTA Drivers' Championship points, with his 7th win, obviously Martin Fuentes just extends that margin, but that win came with just a hair's breadth. It was a close weekend for him. He's with Jeff.
Actually, we didn't have the speed. We didn't have the speed to fight with Montecalvo or Sheen, and we were just lucky to be there at the end, and we took another win home, and that's what matters. You know, team is very happy, and I'm happy.
Wow, what a season for Fuentes. When he's fast, that's good. When he's not fast, he's lucky. That's how you want it to play out. Let's take a look at our Cadillac ATSV move of the race award, Cal, and it happened first corner.
It did. Michael Cooper knew the start was super important here. He held the outside line through turn 1 and grabbed the lead heading into turn 2. He would never relinquish the lead.
And as we take a look now at our manufacturer points for GT, with a great doubleheader weekend here, including Cooper's win, Cadillac now into the lead, but Porsche McLaren, boy, it doesn't get much closer than that. And now we're going to take a look at GT Cup, and again, a sweep of the weekend by Alec Udell. He's with Jeff.
2 wins on the weekend, Alec. Got to be good for the team and yourself.
Yeah, you got to give it to the guys at Global Motorsports Group. Put together a great car. Thanks to the guys at Panther Pipeline, AmSource Capital, Euro World Motorsports, and Advantage Engineering. Without them, I wouldn't be here this weekend. And you know, 2 wins. It's finally great to get the 2nd win on the weekend, and haven't been able to do it until this weekend. So you know, feel it's a weight off my shoulders, and you know, just got to look forward and clinch that championship now. That's the goal, and that's the end goal for the season.
Well, after his win at COTA, didn't get a couple of wins, problems at one of the races, but Udell right back in the thick of things as you take a look at the GT Cup points. I think this is going to be a championship that's going to be fascinating all season long. Now, speaking of some important moments, the key at turning point, Cal, had to be when suddenly Montecalvo another problem.
Well, such disappointment for that whole group. He'd done a brilliant job here, much faster race lap than anyone else in his class, and had that engine issue towards the end of the race, put him in pit lane.
Time to take a look at our Motor Trend On Demand Clean Pass of the Race Award, and once again, Pat Long making a crucial pass, this time on his teammate for points.
2 days in a row, very important. He's got to get big points. He makes the move on Michael Lewis, puts him into position 4.
And we look at our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Awards, and solace for the Red Dragon, the 99 of Fogarty, up 6 spots over the course of the race and gets the Hard Charger Award. Motul Fast Lap Awards in GT, going to number 9, Parent in the McLaren, a 1:23.730. In GTA, Montecalvo, boy, so unfortunate what happened. He had a great lap at a 1:24.646. In GT Cup, once again, the 17 of Udell, a very fast 1:27.250. It's been a great weekend here. After a few weeks, we go to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. This on steroids in terms of speed.
Let the battle resume. We have a great championship battle going on right now between the 2 Cadillac boys. Alvaro Parent, can the Porsche Brigade rebound?
Now we look forward to bringing it to you from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Thanks for joining us here. For Calvin Fish and Jeff Lepper and our entire CBS Sports Network crew, I'm Greg Creamer, and in association with WC Vision, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.